welcome back everyone. Part 3 of this from box to table tutorial on the 28mm Gripping Beast Hannibal's Veterans, and we'll have a look at our little chap, our model for the day, and he's not far off finished. We've got the tunic done, we've got the metals done, and the boots done, all the leather kit done. Just need to do the flesh now and finish it off, and then do the shield and his spear. So, colour for flesh, I'm going to use beige red. This is my typical mid-tone for European flesh, and I'm going to use this with another highlight that we'll see when we get to that part. But I'm going to use a wash on these faces, which I tend not to do now on European faces, but I'm going to do that for these, just to give them, as I said earlier on in part 2, that sort of Mediterranean look. So I'm using a Pro Art 4 series pure sable. These are I've been using this one for a while, and it's kind of just lost its sharpness, if you like, but still pretty good for detail. So what I'm doing here is, I do apologise for drifting off there. I'm just kind of blocking in the flesh. We've got that base coat on there of the darker brown, and that's giving us a nice base to work on, leaving a little line in the deepest recesses. And then when we come to the fingers, I don't want to be painting in between the fingers. So as we did with the chainmail, I've kind of dragged the paint across that hand to leave a darker brown in the recesses. So just finish that off with the hand. Again, I'm not trying to get full coverage here. I'm just trying to make sure that I've got full coverage on the bits where the muscles would stick out, lightly dragged over the fingers to keep the darkness between the fingers. I've gone round the back of the legs and the greaves there, and then finally, and this is the delicate bit, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put paint in the nose, either side of the nose, leaving a thin line between the nose and the cheeks, and then a single line underneath the moustache to give you a face. I wish the focusing on this camera was better. It's really not bringing out what I particularly want to show, but there we go. And rather than go on to the other ones, I'll just continue with this figure to an end. And this is flat flesh, and I mix that in 50-50 with the beige red that we used a second ago, just to get a final highlight. And that's going to go on the back of the hand there, the muscles, the elbows, hand, top of the muscles, little dab on the back of the legs, quick chew on the paintbrush to make sure we've got a fine tip, and then a little bit of dab on the end of the nose, dab on the top of the cheeks, dab on the bottom lip. That's it. So he is more or less done. We'll come back to him in a minute because we're going to have a quick look at the shields next. So I shall clean that paintbrush off. So we looked at the very beginning at the brushes, at the shields, and these white shields here, different base coat to the figure, which was black. We've done these in white, and that's because of the use of decals to make the shield painting a hell of a lot easier. It could spend hours and hours doing hand painted ones, and I have done in the past, but it's a lot easier and quicker to do them this way with the little big man shields transfers that we looked at earlier on. So top tips for decals. This comes from a friend of mine, Steve, who is big into his models, and he always recommends a bit of gloss varnish on the shield prior to trying to fix it, just to give a little bit of a smoother surface to adhere to. So I've done that a while back, and you can see that good shine on it. We've got this shield transfer here. I've just cut round it, and as you can see, it needs the centre section cut out that I'm going to do with a knife just off camera. And it's important that you see the little notch in there? It's important that you use the knife to just cut that out, as it will fit in the recesses of the shield, and then cut down so that you've effectively got two halves. So just stand by for that. So I've cut these out, and we've got two halves of this. Now, those of you my sort of age who are more familiar with Airfix kits, they had water slide transfers, if I remember correctly, rather than decals, and these work in a slightly different way. So what we're going to try and do here is there is a plastic covering on the decal at the front, and it is a nightmare to get out. There we go. I've just got underneath it. No, I haven't. I've broken it. Typical. The one that you film is the one that goes wrong. So there we go. So you can just see that plastic there on the top, and it peels off, and if you're lucky it peels off in one go. There we go, and it's kind of destroyed the bottom of the decal, unfortunately. Try and flatten it a bit. There we go, saved it. And this surface here is now sticky, so we're going to turn that upside down and fit that round the boss of the shield. Remember, these are Roman shields that are probably nicked at a previous battle cannae or similar, and really push that down so that that's on. You see how important it is to cut the boss out to get that round there. It sights it really well, and allows you to not overly worry too much about the placement of it, because it means that it's going to be in the right location. Now, I did worry quite a lot when I first started doing these about remembering which way up the decal had gone on, until I realised that with the boss on it, there is only one way that the second decal can go on and it's the right way. So once again, we've got that film, and we're going to place this on the other half of the shield, and once again I'm going to push that down really firmly, get it stuck as best you can, and that's how your shield's going to look after your transfer's first put on. You then want to just get some water with a brush and stick it onto the shield where you've stuck the paper, where you've stuck the decal on, and you can actually see the pattern on the transfer come through when you put the water on. Doesn't take very long. The paper just slides off, and there we have our decal in situ. Now this one again has remarkably come out quite well. You might just be able to see there, what you tend to get, of course when I'm filming you don't, is little like ridges along the decal, which need ironing out a little bit. So this isn't too bad, but I'd still do this process anyway, even though we haven't got a major problem with this, because the decal process is a 3-stage process for me. We've got this alcohol-based decal medium. This stuff is absolutely brilliant. What it does is it softens the decal on the where you're putting it. Absolutely brilliant. If you've seen my Kingdom of Jerusalem stuff, this was the secret weapon when it came to getting the Jerusalem crosses on the cloaks of the knights, and it's just an alcohol-based medium, and what it does is it softens the decal and makes it fit better to the contours of whatever it's stuck on. Now this thing is mostly flat, but you will tend to get contours along the boss of the shield, and also you tend to get them on the edges as well, but I haven't got them on this particular fit. And cover it in the decal medium and then give it a good brush over and brush out most of the, you get to brush out most of the wrinkles, and then the decal medium will carry on and do its worst to get that done. So there we go, that's fairly flat and nice. So I'm just going to put that to one side for the moment, and we'll come back to our figure. And there he is, looking quite happy. What I am going to do with him is use a bit of strong tone on him. Now, a lot of people will dip their entire figure. Ouch, not for me. Or they'll cover their entire figure using a paintbrush. I prefer to use the inks and the washes and the shades as a little tool to help in certain areas. So I'm going to use this on the sandals. Now, if you remember, I absolutely ballsed up those sandals by putting too much stuff on them, putting too much of a highlight dry brush on it. But once I've inked it, job's a good one, you can't tell. Don't need to do anything with the greaves because I'm happy with that. You could put a wash on there, but I don't like washing too much of the figure because it dulls it down, and that tone from the imitation bronze is beautiful as it is, so I don't want to mix with that. The scabbard is getting a good wash. The belt is getting a good wash. Not doing anything with the chainmail. I'm happy with that chainmail look. Just putting it over the top of the leather belt. I'm happy with the helmet. That's lovely. And what I am going to do though, is just to darken the skin off a little bit, is to put the wash on top of our flesh. Now, I've gone in and out with this. What I would tend to do for a European skin tone is I would tend to use the lighter tone, which I've forgotten what it's called at the moment, from Warpainter. But with this, I'm trying to get that kind of slightly darker skin tone. Not too much on now. There we go. So slightly darker skin tone, just to represent that Mediterranean skin. And I'm happy with him. He is good, ready to go. Just got a little bit of work left to do on the shield, but before we do that, I'll just talk about spears. I'm not going to go through painting a spear because they're so easy, it's untrue. And I'm just trying to reach one that I've done already and failed. So here we have one that we've done earlier. And all I've done with that is the leather belt for the main shaft with the same highlight that I've done, which is leather belt plus tan yellow, and then a silver pointy head on it. So occasionally I'll use a wash on that, but I'm happy with that as it is at the moment, to be fair. So that's that done. So we just need to finish the shield off, and there's not much to do on it really. What I'm going to do is because this isn't going to dry, I'm going to show you what I've done earlier. So what I've done with this is from that one that you've just seen, me put the decal decal medium on. When that's dry, and it normally takes about an hour because it's alcohol based, I put this stuff on, decal fix. It does what it says on the tin. It makes the decal fix do what it's fixed on. And then once I've done that and let that to dry, then I come back and just put a little bit of detail on. Don't do anything with the spine of the shield. I just do, going back to the original colours that we use. For the boss, I use tinny tin as a base and then just put a tiny line of the bronze down the centre just to pick a highlight out on it. The back, I just colour the leather belt again, and that I don't do any shading or anything on the back of that because most of that, 95% of that, is hidden next to the body of the soldier, so we don't bother with putting anything else on there. So that is it. This is our man. He is ready to go off and fight the horrible people of Rome. And I'll come back at the end in a couple of seconds and just show you finished units. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little paint through, and we'll have a chat in a second about the finished unit. So after watching those figures get painted, this is the final product. This is the 2 units of 24 figures that I've completed over the last couple of weeks. And these are the guys that we've been looking at as we've gone along. So, shields completed. We were a bit more light on those. So, shields completed and stuck on. There was a little bit of stuff edging on the shields that I didn't really show. Because the shields are done in white primer, the edges show up a little bit with the slightly darker decals. So I've gone around the edges of those and blended the decals in with a I'm trying to remember the colour now. Deck tan is the colour that I've used to blend those in. So you can see I'm quite happy with these. We talked about the chainmail. I'm happy with that for chainmail. I've not put an extra black wash on it. I think it would dull it down a bit too much. I think the figures do the work with this in terms of the holes between the individual chains. They show up nicely with the black undercoats. There's no requirement there for anything else. 8 to a base, 60 by 60 is a bit tight with modern figures, certainly ones that stand side by side. So I've had to trim a bit of the bases of these, but all in all, I'm very happy with that as a finished unit. Hopefully the video that I've shown of me painting it will help in some ways, even if it's just to show you not how to do it. This is the finished result, and I think we can say that we're very happy with it as it is. And I do apologise for next door's dog barking in the background. So that was from Box to Table tutorial. Leave some comments underneath. Are you happy with it split into 3, or would you prefer one long video? And if you've not already, if you could like and subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much for spending time with Yorkshire Gamer, and we'll see you in the next video.